Bodywise Perfect Size is proud to bring you an interview with the fabulous motivational speaker, Libra Forde. Libra, how do people react when they see you?
When most people see me, it goes from the feet. They always look at my feet because they want to know if I'm wearing something on my feet. And then they look all the way up until they get to my head because I'm 6'5". And so people really react to that. Being a woman 6'5", it's something that no one's ever seen. Children, being the fact that their filter doesn't exist, usually say, "Oh my God, she's so tall." And I'm not physically really thin either. I consider myself curvy, and so all of those things draw a lot of attention. But I've embraced it in the way that I usually try to make people feel better about staring because it's something they've never seen. So I usually say, "Hey, I'm 6'5". I've been this height since I was 11," and it kind of helps them ask more questions, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world. I tell people that all the time because the question I get two questions every day. How tall are you? Obviously. And the next one is, do you enjoy being tall? And I know people are always shocked because my face will light up and say, absolutely. Not because of anything aesthetic from myself, but for what it does. Just talking to this person right now, that is amazing to me that my height was able to generate a conversation with someone that has something to share. You know, if we accept our differences, then we also accept our journey in life. Once you try to deny the difference, then you're basically taking away the opportunities that may be in front of you to do great things, amazing things.
Wow, being 6'5" at 11 can't have been easy.
6'5", 11" was tough because kids can be brutal, and I didn't look like any other kid. Obviously, I was taller than most teachers, and so it was very difficult. I will say the hardest time for me was in the third grade, but it also was the best time for me. I had one student who really was brutal with making fun of me, lots of different names. But it also was the year that I had a teacher that was tall, and she decided that we were going to line up from tallest to smallest instead of smallest to tallest, which in America is a major deal. It's like everyone's in the shortest person's in the front. And she said the reason why we were doing it is because it doesn't make sense to have the shortest person in the front. You can't see where you're going, but you can always find the tallest person. And I thought, that's ingenious, you know. So it was the first time that I really got to embrace my height and not just deal with the teasing. So yeah, it's definitely genetic. My dad is, well, he was very tall, and my mom is 5'11", which is tall for a woman. I have grandparents that were very tall. Even my grandmother was tall for a woman. All my aunts and uncles are tall, so there's nothing I can do about it. Same with my children; they're tall. There's nothing they can do.
Libra, one of the things that stood out for me is that even at your height, you wear heels.
I was kind of a tomboy when I was younger because I played basketball. But about maybe 10 years ago, I decided that I'm tall and nothing I can do about it. And I like heels. I like the way that it looks, and I like the way that it feels when I walk in heels. And I started with really small ones, and then they just slowly got taller and taller. So now I'm probably up to about a 4-inch heel.
So you're 6'9".
Yeah. So about 6'9", yeah, walking around, which most doorways are 6'5". So most doorways I'm ducking my head through to get in. But I think for me, wearing heels and being comfortable with who I am is the bottom line. I just decided that I like that look, so why not wear them if I like the look? I don't like the way flats look on my, and this is really aesthetic. I have big feet, and so heels make your feet look smaller. And I just thought, well, I want my feet to look smaller rather than anything else. I can't make my height go away, but at least I can make my feet look smaller. So it's been a long journey. And I think a lot of the development on the other side, which is the positive side of me looking at myself positively, is still a struggle every single day. I can't sit here and say I wake up like, oh, I'm putting on heels and I'm going to walk tall. That's something that I struggle with daily. One of my motivations is absolutely my children. I have 3 daughters who are all tall. And so I've really tried to magnify it now. Even when I don't feel the best, I try to really present myself in the best way because I think that it's a big reflection on how they're going to accept their own height. And one thing I was taught years ago by a teacher, teachers feel like they have to give 180% to get 90%. I've kind of adopted that concept. If I give 180% of who I am, that is my height, that is everything that I am, then maybe someone else that's different will give 90% of themselves and accept that much more of them. So I've kind of just taken that on as a way of serving other people and kind of getting over my own stuff, and I get joy out of other people feeling better about who they are.
Libra, can you tell me a little bit about the idea of be tall?
I did a speech a year and a half ago called Be Tall, and it really generated from other Toastmasters telling me, I love when you talk about your height because it makes us all feel like we can embrace our differences. So I came up with this concept, Be Tall, which is B, tall being acronyms, T being thrive, A being affect others, and L being laugh, and then the other L being love. And I thought, tall is so much more than just my height. It's really about what my height has done for me. It's enabled me to talk to people that I maybe have never talked to before if I wasn't this tall. It's enabled me to embrace serving other people. It's enabled me to embrace helping other people, smiling more. I smile more because I know people are like, they're startled, they're shocked. So it makes me smile because I don't want them to be uncomfortable. It's really shaped who I am as a person inside. And so I came up with this concept, Be Tall, because I thought everybody goes through that. It's not just me. Everyone that has anything different about them goes through that, and you have to thrive through it. You have to still affect others in a positive way and laugh about it because, it's funny. It's funny being tall. And then, of course, loving people is always the best way. I think that the first thing about owning your body for me comes from there's nobody else that's going to have this body. And I've learned to understand that my body's a gift, regardless of what it looks like. And the other part of that is the body is so amazing. And so if we start to really think about what it can do versus what it can't do, then it seems as though those things get magnified. I think for a long time in my life, I had these screams about what my body couldn't do, being tall, I can't do this, I can't do that. But then I tried to quiet those screams and really start thinking about what I can do. And there's a lot more that I can do versus what I can't. So owning my body on the stage starts for me with me wearing something that I feel good in, and so whatever my beliefs are in terms of wearing certain things, I have certain beliefs about my body and what I want to present and what I want to look like. So that's the first step for me. And if I feel comfortable in what I'm wearing, then I'm also able to really pull out that inner strength and kind of own it all at once. But it's still a challenge. I mean, it's never 100%. I'm just owning myself. I have moments where I have to turn off that negative voice.
Libra, what can you share with people about how to do that?
I am a domestic violence survivor, and with that, it was verbal and physical. So the verbal voices were so loud in my relationship, and once I came out of it and the healing of that, I had to learn how to minimize those voices and magnify the ones I needed to hear. And the skill really comes from one thing: just acknowledging the fact that voice is so loud, and acknowledging the fact that the negative voices are louder than the whispering positive voices. Once you acknowledge that, you just have to consciously switch it. Now, I used to have to physically put knobs in my head, like visualize, okay, I'm turning down this one and I'm turning up this one, when I first was coming out of my situation and trying to heal. Now it's more instinctive, and I can just say, okay, that voice is too loud. But initially, I did use a lot of visuals. I had some help with some people who would use pictures for me, and there would be colors, and they would switch the colors around. Okay, this is the loud negative voice. This is the quiet positive voice. Let's switch it around so you visually can see one on top of the other one, and it minimizing the other one. So those things really helped. And so now, through a lot of practice of using those tools, now it's instinctive. And I've talked to groups a lot of times about domestic violence being verbal abuse is the same thing as bullying. I mean, it is verbal abuse. That's what bullying is. And so the same skills and tactics that we use with adults that are survivors of domestic violence, we now need to use with children and adults that are victims of bullying. It's the same thing. So yes, those acknowledgments of statements are very important. It's this new term, children don't realize that this is a voice that is negative. You know, when a bully says something to them, they're absorbing it as if it's the truth versus, okay, I need my filter up. This is a negative statement, and this is what negative statements do to me. Thus, I need to turn that down. Thus, I need to walk away. Thus, I need to get the help I need, you know, and making sure those things are really in tune with them and they can become instinctive.
Libra, people must look at your height and think, how on earth could you have ever been abused?
And that is one of the most profound gifts I've been given. At first, you know, when you go through something like that, you think, oh, this is terrible. Why me? And then I realize, why not me? Because of all people, people would never believe that it could happen to me. People see me and think there's no way she could go through this, and then when they hear my story, they're like, wow, okay, well, maybe I can reflect on my situation and realize that I am in a situation, and because it is possible for me to be in a situation, because it's the same thing for a woman that's considered to be very powerful. Maybe she's in a powerful leadership position, and all of a sudden she's in a domestic violence situation, and everyone's like, there's no way. Oh yeah, it's way. Everyone can wind up in a situation where they're vulnerable and feel less than. And so, right, and that's been such an awakening for me, finding out that my body is so much more than the physical what media wants it to be. Up every morning saying, you know, who can I serve today? And if it's through my height, then so be it. You know, I accept that with every cell in my body now. It wasn't always like that. Like you said, I didn't understand it. You know, I would often, you know, and when I was young, my mom would say, "Oh, pray about it," and I would say, "Well, I'm just gonna pray. Why? Why am I so tall?" You know. So now I understand, you know, or I accept who I am. My body has become this healing vessel, not just for myself, but for everyone around me that may relate to my story or may relate to what I'm saying. That to me is extremely powerful. And to me, if that's my legacy, oh, yeah, I'm good. If I feel extremely good about using my height to serve others and to help them feel better about who they are.
Bodywise Perfect Size is thrilled to be helping Libra in her service to others.